Hello, my name's Cameron Zadigan and you're watching the very first episode of Cam's Camera Talk. And probably after all the abuse I'm probably going to get, possibly the last. But anyway, let's go on with it. Anyway, you're not here to hear about me, you're here to hear about the Fantastic Four. Anyway, here it is. So let me start this video by going back to the very beginning when the film was first announced. So obviously Josh Trank, a great director, he came on board, did chronicle a film which is really good. I mean, if you haven't seen it, check it out, it's a brilliant film. Now the first thing Josh Trank did was he brought on Michael B. Jordan to play the Human Torch. Now this sparked a lot of controversy because Michael B. Jordan is an African American man, which goes against the comic book of the character. Everyone's saying, oh, he got me the Human Torch, he's a black guy. I was like, okay, good observation. But it didn't matter because Michael B. Jordan is a fantastic actor. So it didn't matter about the colour of his skin, what mattered was his ability. Fast forward to when the rest of the cast was announced, you had Miles Teller, another fantastic actor, Jamie Bell, who's gone quite underneath the radar, but he was Billy Elliot. Great actor. Kate Mara, didn't really know much about it, but I heard a lot of good things. But again, people found flaws in this, in the fact that they were all quite young. In the comic books, the Fantastic Four tend to be quite older. Again, that was another sort of controversial point. So recently, this is 2 days ago now, I read an interview which said that the cast hadn't even seen the film yet. 2 days before its release. Usually films are released usually months in advance for reviewers so that they can get their view on the film. This film was released 3 days before the film's initial release in the UK for reviewers to talk about the film. That was when I started to get a little bit worried about it. I defended the entire process up until this point. I still was defending it slightly, but I was a little bit on edge for the first time. Anyway, all that being said, is the film any good? Oh, first off, this film currently has a 4.7 rating on IMDb. Is that deserving? No. The reviews for this film, many people are talking about this film as if it is the Holocaust. Is it really that bad? No, it isn't. Is this film as good as it should have been with the amount of preparation time that was put into it? I think it's been about 2 or 3 years that have gone into making this film. Is it as good as it should have been? No, but it's not a complete disaster. Okay, now I'm not going to spoil anything in this film review for you. However, I am going to talk about the tone and the pacing. Now, this film is only an hour and a half long. For a reboot and an opening film, that's a short time. And it is not well utilised at all. The first hour of the film is just build up to them actually getting their powers. Now that's probably the best part of the film, and it shouldn't be, because this is a superhero film. So in a superhero film you want to see superheroes doing superhero shit. That's what they're meant to do. That's what makes it a superhero film. But instead we get a long period of build up and then the ending just doesn't live up to it. When they get their powers, they should be showing them off. You should be able to see them in action. And for the brief moments of action in this film, it's not half bad. There's just nowhere near enough of it. Now, of course, Victor Von Doom is the bad guy in this film, and as Victor Von Doom, he's maybe in the film about 10 minutes. And as the main antagonist, again, that's not long enough. We see him as Victor Von Doom being friendly with the Fantastic Four at the beginning, but that's just build-up of a character which later he isn't. He's changed since then. Now the vibe that this film felt like it was going for was sort of a dramatic character-driven drama, but the problem was the script just wasn't written well enough. If you want to make a great character film, you have to have a fantastic script which goes into detail about all these characters. However, we have 5 main cast characters and none of them really were explored in much depth. Franklin Storm, now he's the older guy who's Johnny Storm's dad. Now, before I even talk about his role in the film, I just gotta say that his voice is like Morgan Freeman's voice and James Earl Jones' voice had a love child. I mean, later on in the film, he's getting emotional with his son and his daughter, and it's just not pulling the heartstrings that you can tell the film wants it to pull. So, the thing which this film should have been doing was showing you a lot of action, trying to make up for the lack of character depth. Victor Von Doom's character wasn't very good. I mean, you compared him to the comics and it wasn't really even that similar. He's one of the strongest characters in the Marvel Universe. He's squared up against the Avengers in the comics before. That shows you just how powerful he is. He's just walking through these buildings and people's brains are exploding just from the power of his mind alone. Yet later on in the film, he's getting caught with jabs from Mr. Fantastic. It's like, hang on a second. It's a little convenient when it needs to be, and that's a problem throughout this film. So when Doctor Doom has to be so powerful, he is. When he needs to be a little bit softer, he is. There's just no continuity with it. He doesn't have the same power throughout this film. He just fluctuates for whatever the screenwriters want, and that is what you don't want in a film. I mean, Chronicle, a film which was done years ago and is really an indie film, has better visual effects than this multi-million-pound film which has been produced by one of the biggest studios in the world. It's as if Fox knew that this film wasn't that great. It's as if the director knew that what he was making wasn't that great. And it's as if the actors kind of knew themselves as well. That's why Fox have barely even pushed this film. Now, if you're really confident about a film, you'd be pushing it. Deadpool is already being pushed and it's out in February. It's already getting a massive push from Fox, probably more than this film has already had, and it's just come out today. Is this film better than The Amazing Spider-Man 2? No. And what happened with The Amazing Spider-Man 2? It killed the franchise. Spider-Man had to be rebooted again, but in Marvel now. So I'd probably say that the same thing is probably going to happen with the Fantastic Four. Whether Marvel would choose to do anything with the characters, I don't know. Now, I pretty much have just been hating on this film for the entirety of the review so far, and that's what most people are doing. But that's not to say that I didn't actually have a little bit of enjoyment in the film. I didn't think it was as bad as people say it was. If I had to give this number review out of 10, I'd say it's probably a 6. So it's not the best grade that you're going to get. It's certainly not one which a modern day superhero film should have. But it's not the worst number in the world. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed my first video. And if you have, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. And hopefully I will see you soon.